like I still don't know why an artist would want to purchase a beat as an NFT. I found it interesting that it also said that daily NFT sales have dipped 92%.
What's going down? This is the Music Entrepreneur Club. My name is DJ Payne One. I'm joined by Dame Ritter. We want Erin to show up, so maybe she will, maybe she doesn't, but she has a much more interesting life than the two of us, clearly, because we're here. And she may be on an airplane right now. Who knows with her? How are you feeling today, Dame?
Feeling good. This week has definitely been a challenge, a lot going on, but feeling good. Lots of cool things going on. But yeah, man, can't complain. How you doing?
Life is good. It's hot as a bitch, but
it's hot in Wisconsin right now.
We get the humidity. It's raining. That's just going to make it worse. And the temperature is going from, the 80s to the 60s within a 12-hour period. So shout out to climate change. Remember last episode, you and Erin were going hard on artists from a manager's perspective, right? And so was I, because that needs to be discussed. You also mentioned you wanted to get on managers a little bit too, though. I want to share something with you.
Okay.
Because, we always talk about how managers a lot of managers, probably the majority of managers, don't know what they're doing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Because I think we agree that if you have a manager who has dedication and passion, they don't really need to know anything. They'll learn on their feet. As long as they care about the artist, as long as they are serious about their position as managers and they want to grow into that position, they're probably going to be a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
And that was my experience. My very first manager, he didn't know what he was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. Somehow he made, something major happen for me when I had no business having a #1 platinum record. So yeah, I believe in that.
I would say that if you, none of this shit is rocket science, right? Course. If you want to be a manager, as long as you are hungry, you continuously are willing to educate yourself, you're willing to network and find managers that are more established to soak up as much as you can. If you're organized, you build relationships well. Those are some of the key things that I think are foundational for a young person to become a manager. So it's definitely not rocket science. I've seen some young people really grow into being some very professional, thriving managers. But you have to have kind of a passion for it. And like I said, all the characteristics that I just laid out. And I think you'll be okay.
So on the other hand, though, there are some managers who, we talk about artists being reactive and emotional. And as an artist, I'm not going to deny any of that. A lot of us are reactive and a lot of us are emotional, and we're emotionally connected to our music to the point that any type of criticism of our music or of our brands or any situation where we feel like we're being undersold, we have the tendency to react poorly. It's not a good thing. I'm just saying it's something that I acknowledge. However, there are a lot of managers who do the same thing and they burn a lot of bridges for their artists. And I know you've seen that. So I recently was, I guess, spammed. I mean, this is the crazy thing. A lot of managers and what Erin would call CEOs. So people in managerial positions in the music business who are either basically anyone who represents creatives. So managers, agents, label owners, A&Rs, those types of people that are more in executive positions rather than positions where they're creating art that is being exploited by these executives. A lot of them are out of their freaking minds. And that's a bad look for the artist. And I'll show you a perfect example. This stuff really happens. Someone named William White, which I don't know whether or not that's a real name or, but
why wouldn't William White be a real name?
Because you'll see. He represents an entertainment agency, and he reached out to me And it was one of those emails that I just can't stand. It was basically, you know, hey, I'm representing this artist. How can we work? And it's like, dude,
delete.
delete. But what I
yeah.
said, you know, because I get so many of these,
Right.
and it's like, number one, as a manager, it's your responsibility. If you're reaching out on an artist's behalf, you better know what the fuck you're trying to do, because otherwise you look so unprofessional that the artist, you know, like an artist can be unprofessional to an extent. We give them a pass. They're like, they're an artist. When their managers are unprofessional, or anybody that represents them is unprofessional, and we're like, wow, your whole team is messed up. Every aspect of what you have going on is messed up. Like, that manager is a terrible and weak link. It represents the artist terribly.
But we shouldn't give artists a pass, and I try not to give artists a pass for being unprofessional. That shouldn't be a thing that the industry just accepts. They will accept if you're hot enough. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're hot enough, then you can get by with, you know, ridiculous behavior. But as soon as you're not hot, you're definitely gonna get the rug pulled from under your feet.
Okay, but think of a scenario in which you're talking to two people. You don't know which one is the artist and which one is the manager. Someone's acting like a hothead and someone's calming the situation down. You automatically assume the person with the hothead is the artist and the person that's calming things down is the manager or the executive or whatever, right? Just because that tends to be the dynamic.
Yeah, you would think so.
Right. And in some cases it's the opposite. And I've had was a time a group that I was in way back had a manager that was, we had to physically restrain him a couple times, because once we were on campus and he started smoking a blunt at a sorority event that we were booked for, and then another time he started a fight outside of a venue, and so I didn't physically restrain him. Someone that was bigger than me physically restrained him. I'm not getting involved in all that. But that was a terrible representation of us as artists, you know, and that probably hurt us. Now, back to William White and this email I got. I deleted the email, but first, you know, because I want to keep my email clear. I don't want this weirdo continuing to send me these weird emails, not saying anything but vaguely promoting an artist. Like, that's not even what you're supposed to be doing as a manager. So I asked him, hey, remove me from your list and don't send me any more unsolicited emails. His response was, fuck DJ Payne.
Why don't you just send it to spam? I don't even understand why you respond to these cats. Why don't you just send it, report spam? Doesn't that block?
This isn't the point. No, it still goes to my spam folder, and then I check my spam filter anyway, because oftentimes Gmail will get it wrong, and I'll have to go in, and there'll be like someone that I actually want to talk to in spam. So I just try to I would rather people just not send me this stuff, basically. Because even if I block the sender, it goes to spam. Gmail is confusing to me. I don't understand how that works. But the point is, it's not my inbox and it's not my email being clean. It's that this is incredibly unprofessional behavior. And if you're this reactive as a manager, I can only imagine that the artist you represent is going to have a tough time. If you're representing them and this is your response to something that's common, I mean, already you're doing something unhelpful to the artist, misrepresenting them by sending these ridiculous emails. I also want to point out, in terms of representing an artist, that I don't know if you noticed this, the word management is misspelled in his email address. So already that should be a red flag. and I'm painting a more holistic picture of the problems with the manager-artist relationship. Sometimes it is the manager that is at fault for how a brand fails.
Yeah, I mean, I think it happens a lot, you know, especially with the homie manager. You know, I think we talked about that with Benoni when he came on the live MEC sessions. Benoni, who runs Issa Rae's audio content company. You know, it's hit or miss. It's hit or miss with the homies. You know, you want to put people on, but they don't really. Sometimes it works, and sometimes they don't step up to the plate and learn all the different things they want to do. They don't necessarily want to be a manager. They just want to be close to you, right? so you have to figure out, are you the best person, or can you be the best person for this role at some point, hopefully in the near future? Because that communication was ridiculous. And it did look kind of like a fake profile picture, maybe just like I don't know. I don't know who William White is, but definitely a clown.
Would you like to know, Dame?
No, not at all. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool on that. But your manager definitely should be representing you well. And if an artist is unprofessional, hopefully you're having that communication to become a more professional artist. But oftentimes, managers have to like really learn their artists to better position them in certain opportunities, or turn down certain opportunities that they're going to fumble, or plan for things, saying that the start time, if your artist comes late, most of the time you're going to have to play games with the start times of things when you're planning. Or like I said, just don't commit them. Just don't commit them to certain things that they don't like. If your artist doesn't like doing collabs, don't even get into that. Just say, hey, the artist isn't doing them. I don't care how much money it is, because you just know it's going to be a ridiculous mess when you commit to this collab that they have to now do, but they really don't want to do anyway. So now, the deadline's coming. Now the person wanting the collab is going to be hella mad because it's not getting done. I go to the artist, they're mad because they have to do it and they shouldn't have said yes in the first place. So it's those type of things that you have to learn, just to learn your artist and just turn down opportunities that are going to be a headache. Because I had to do a lot of that with Hobson for sure. But I had to turn out a lot of great opportunities too. Yeah. And it sucked. It sucked because it was like, man, I know this isn't going to turn out well, because longer term, it's going to be a harder hit to our reputation and it's going to be a mess. But man, I wish we could have done this. Like all the time.
And that's the stuff that'll spread through social media. You got a bunch of disgruntled people talking about, I paid for this verse, I never got it. I booked him for the show, he never showed up. Or that's the type of stuff that will spread.
Yeah, but man, we could have had some dope opportunities. So it sucks to turn down, an opportunity that is going to maybe take them to the next level, or an opportunity that is going to be financially rewarding. But you got to make those calls. So, a lot of stuff you just learn as you stay committed to being a manager, and you communicate with your artists, what you can and can't do. And hopefully, you got a better working relationship. You guys are on the same page. But yeah, so going forward, Payne, just delete those emails, man. That one was ridiculous. That's not even borderline. Was it even an email that addressed you by name? Like initially?
No, of course not. Of course,
it was a copy paste job.
Yep.
Yeah,
because that's a sign of a good entertainment agent. I mean, he's got an LLC, so it's official.
Yeah, if management is spelled wrong in your email, man, he definitely needs to change it. He probably doesn't even know, or else he would have changed his email, I would assume.
And who cares? It's just one letter. It's still fine, right?
Right. No, it's not.
What did you want to talk about? What was your topic?
So, I never want to talk about NFTs, but somebody brought this to my attention because Mike Trampy actually, we were approached recently around like NFTs and producers, and like why producers might want to release their beats as NFTs. So, and why an artist would want to buy a beat that was an NFT. Is there any interest in that? So one of the things the folks brought back to us was, hey, this is, there's still some excitement in the space. Spotify is getting into the space. I guess Spotify has been testing, allowing some artists to show their NFTs on their artist profile. I think they've experimented with Steve Aoki. Steve Aoki has jumped head first into the space, and I know he's done really well, or did really well, selling NFTs. But it says it's a Verge article. It says, what does it say? When he navigated to both Steve Aoki's and Wabat's artist page, I saw the NFT gallery sits beneath the artist header and song list. Clicking into it reveals a collection of NFTs that you can scroll through. If you select an NFT, you'll see an enlarged version of it, as well as a brief description. Spotify will also give you the option to see more, which directs you to the NFTs page on OpenSea, where you can purchase it. But keep in mind that Spotify doesn't seem to support NFTs that are videos or GIFs. Spotify only shows a static image of the NFT in the app, not the full video. However, I think it like the article kind of hypes up NFTs and Spotify, potentially experimenting with allowing you to showcase your NFTs. But in that same article, I found it interesting that it also said that daily NFT sales have dipped 92% from 225,000 in September of last year to just 19,000 as of May 3rd. The number of
I believe that with the crypto market right now.
Yeah, the number of active NFT wallets is also on decline from about 119,000 in November to 14,000 towards the end of April. So, news that Spotify potentially is experimenting, letting people show their NFTs on their artist profile and clicking through to potentially buying them. We're seeing a huge dip in NFT sales. Like, I saw all the responses after Trampy posted that. Like, I still don't know why an artist would want to purchase a beat as an NFT. But Trampy did say that I should talk to a particular guy that had a response. I don't know what his response was yet. I'm going to follow up with him. I'm open to learning. I want to learn. Like, if there is a reason why, let's figure it out. Maybe it's something that BeatStars would want to get involved in. But up until this point, I don't see it.
Yeah, there were some good points brought up.
You saw the thread. You saw.
Yeah. The one that I saw I think it was from Producer Grind, and they've been instructing producers how to sell their beats as NFTs in Web3 platforms, and they were talking about bundles and including the NFT as kind of a bonus. And I see artists doing stuff like that. I feel like that's kind of what Nas did. So I understand that. I still agree that the utility of purchasing a beat as an NFT just for the sake of having it as an NFT doesn't make sense right now to the vast majority of beat buyers, because the utility of purchasing a beat is using it to create a new work and then marketing that new work as your song. And an NFT doesn't allow you to do that any better than the current model of beat licensing or selling. I guess what ends up happening is it becomes a conversation about branding and community. There are producers that can make it happen because their brand is so strong that their NFT becomes valuable, because it's just, like baseball cards. It goes back to the baseball card analogy. If the player is good and that particular year, whatever the case is, then the value goes up. So it's the same way with, like, that's their rookie card, but they become a superstar later on. You caught it early. It's the same thing with NFTs, but you have to create that value. I think the problem that we always have is that, and it's a problem that I have with the conversation. It was that this is when I got cussed out on Twitter by all the NFT folks that were really, really hurt and insulted by me even questioning the whole concept of getting rich off NFTs, because their assertion was collectively that anyone could get rich off NFTs. And you could actually become a millionaire selling music NFTs, which has never happened. I mean, there were even people, and shout out to the reasonable people that joined the conversation. There were people who sold NFTs and really believed in that framework. And they said, well, we can see that no one has become a millionaire selling music NFTs. However, here's the model that has worked for us. And yeah, of course, people can make money off of NFTs. They work really hard doing it. It's the same way, people will say you can't make money selling beats online. Yeah, you can. People are doing it all the time. So I would never say you can't make money selling NFTs. But the conversation inevitably becomes about producers with amazing brands who are already making money in the traditional music business, or people like, if we're talking about just musicians in general, not producers specifically, we're talking about guys like Steve Aoki who are already millionaires, who are affiliated with major labels. Alter Records is Sony, I believe, and Spinning Records is Warner Music Group. So yeah, as NFTs become more mainstream, the people that are already established are going to tend to reap a lot of the benefits, especially when platforms like Spotify get involved.
I know that virtual artists like Spotty Wi-Fi jumped into our comments, and maybe we reach back out to him and have a debate. But I actually didn't. I mean, I know I'm the one that brought up the NFT topic, but what I really wanted to talk about today is, so I'm completely kind of shifting the focus, but I'm still seeing a lot of people worried about like follower count ahead of like the type of people you're trying to attract, right? Like, I've seen so many different situations where like people are just happy with any attention, right? They grow a page just doing anything, like outside, even things outside of music, right? They'll grow their page doing stunts and comedy, just a bunch of different things. And then when they get to what they really want to do, they're not getting the reaction that they want because they've accumulated the attention from so many different people. They weren't there to listen to your music, right? So I'm still seeing a lot of artists just focusing on how many followers and you would think we would be out of this phase and like you would know by now that it's not the number of followers, but it's you have to build your followers with intention, right? It's something that I'm actually going through right now with an artist that I work with named Jack B, super dope artist, but he also is a popular live streamer, right? And I think he's become more popular as just a personality and a live streamer on TikTok. His music does well. I think he's probably around like 400,000 monthly listeners. So it's not like his music isn't getting any traction, but it's now we're thinking about, okay, we have this attention. We need to really dig into like who these people are, why they follow you, and introduce the music, figure it out, like who's a music fan. And maybe you want to be a live streamer and an artist. Some people are going to love you for both. Some people are going to love you for one or the other. But I really want people listening to this podcast to build with intention, right? And I would say the same thing with Big Jaws, a comedian that I work with. Ultimately, he wants to be in television and film. So we're using social media to show off his skill set that he could live in the television and film space. I think a lot of people do well, like short form video content. A lot of comedians, like they'll just turn their phone on, do something funny. Sometimes that translates to bigger screens, but it doesn't translate. But if you want to have your own show or like direct your own, it doesn't show any directing capability. It doesn't always show like character development. Those are the things that you need to show. And so in Josh's social media to say, yeah, he can direct a commercial. He can direct a longer piece of content. So overall, it's like you have to build your community with intention. You have to know like where you're going long term so that even the stuff that you're doing on social media is evidence that you can live in that world. And Payne, I don't know if you've seen it too, but like I still see people just hey, I got to get my followers up. Well, you can do any monkey. Like you can go, what was that cat's name? Bunk or something like that. Like he would just go into stores and like throw himself on the oranges and like throw his stuff up against the cereal boxes and like knock over all the cereal boxes or just slap people. Like you're going to get a lot of attention doing that. but but then you release a song. I don't know if the song's going to do well, right? So yeah, you have to build your community with intention, and I've seen it a lot still. And maybe it's just what's in my feed, but Payne, I don't know if you've seen.
Oh, every day I get the weirdest. Just someone I don't know will say, "Hey, what do I got to do to get you to follow back?" And it's like, I guess you have to know me for a long time because I don't know you. And right. So people expect people to follow them back just because that's just what they want. And it's like, what benefit do you get from me following you? You just get a follower, and people do the, follow for follow, sub for sub. And at the end of the day, if there's not real authentic engagement, it's pointless.
Yeah, I'm actually really picky with who I follow. Like, I know that, I spend a decent amount of time, or we all spend a decent amount of time, like scrolling through our timeline, and that stuff affects you, right? That stuff affects you whether you know it or not. Like, some of that stuff is seeping into your brain. It might, disturb your emotions. Like, I want to follow people that, educate me, entertain me, or just people that I know that I want to stay in tune with their life, that I want to, either their friends or people that I'm hoping to work with. It's not a follow for a follow situation. If you don't like the content that I'm posting, then don't follow me. It's all good. Like, I'm not tripping, because again, we want to build even my community with intention. And I probably should have made another page as soon as the Funk Volume fallout, because I still have a lot of Funk Volume fans that are attached to my personal page, and I'm still trying to, jumpstart my algorithm again, because there's a lot of people that don't interact because they followed me for a specific reason. I would post a lot of Funk Volume stuff. I don't do that anymore. Obviously, the label doesn't.
Oh, they interact. It's just not positive.
Not as many though. Not every once in a while. I still get cussed out or reminded that I'm the reason that Funk Volume crashed and burned. But I wish I could snap my fingers and just take all those people out, but not out of my Instagram.
So we got to be clear here.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that's my message for today, man. I just hope that everybody, you have to think long term about where you want to be, and whatever you're doing on social media, the attention that you attract from that should hopefully help you get there. Because you're going to be very upset if you build your community a certain way and then try to introduce something different and the community rejects it. And you're going to be like, damn, but I got 1 million followers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at that point. So I thought that I wouldn't have to say this at this point, because we've been on social media for so long, and hopefully we know how social media works and how to build community. But I still see people getting it wrong, or being surprised that a community rejects something that it wasn't built on in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it working sometimes, but it's rare. And then if you don't build from, I don't think most people build from intention from the beginning, but if you build from passion, that becomes intention. If I'm sure Ja didn't intentionally use social media. I think he was just trying to get his jokes off, and then they became popular. And now you saw that popularity, and you could start imposing some intention onto your social media strategy. Or maybe he did. Maybe he was just calculated the whole time. I don't know.
No, well, he knew that his end. He always knew that his end goal was hopefully television and film. He wants to shoot feature films. So even early days, even if a reel is popular, like normally for his reels, I'm just taking, moments from his longer sketches and posting them as reels, trying to find a moment that would immediately capture somebody's attention and post as a reel, because that's what all of the platforms are going to short form video content. Our attention spans are much shorter. We're not giving, content enough time. So, I think, but the way Ja has built his community, his YouTube is still active. So on Instagram and TikTok, obviously we're forcing everybody to consume things in a very short manner. But I think the audience on YouTube is still a little bit more patient. And if you're known for if you're known for telling longer stories and you built your community that way, then they'll still have the patience to wait for the punchline or to wait to see how the story develops. So I think Ja always knew that he wanted to be in the television and film world. So, that storytelling and that character development was always a big part of the content he created.
Yeah. Okay. So he's leading with passion, at least. I know other people, if you don't lead with intention, I think, you're going to end up backtracking and wasting time, but not everybody gets it from day one. So shout out to people who do get it from day one and they have an end goal. A lot of us don't. A lot of us are scattered, but at very least, I tell people, if you don't know what your end goal is, at least know what it's not, and then don't post that content. If your end goal isn't to become some kind of family influencer and what you love doing is making music, stop using your Instagram to post family photos all the time.
Right.
Just focus on something else. So that's my advice. Otherwise, yeah, you end up kind of scattered. Eventually you can start getting more personal, obviously, once you have the fans, but don't dilute your messaging at the very beginning.
Yeah. So we're also starting a podcast soon that celebrates Black cinema. It's going to be called Blackbusters. And we're already mindful that, we're probably going to start a totally different YouTube channel for it, because this is not a podcast that is super in line with the content that he's been posting. Like, you're not going to go to the podcast and hear jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes. There definitely will be some funny elements to it, but it is more of a celebration of Black cinema. And a portion of his fans will definitely be into it, but we're not expecting the content to perform like his comedy does, like out of the gate, right? We're going to have to find the people in his existing fan base that do enjoy movies and want to discuss movies, hopefully in an entertaining way. And then we're also going to have to go outside of his fan base to just find those people that really enjoy watching movies and discussing film. So, you can't have that expectation that everything that you do is going to resonate with your audience if you introduce something new. So we're going to see in a very near future, how many folks we can pull over from his existing audience, but we don't have the expectation that it will be everyone, because that would just be ridiculous. Some people just want to see comedy and sexy girls in the sketches. This Blackbusters podcast is definitely not that. So yeah. Anyway, I know we ended probably a little short on this episode. We're used to having Aaron, so we used to have, I bet we've both talked more than we normally talk on.
Wait, are you trying to end it already? Because I haven't even gotten into that topic.
Oh, you have another topic?
Yeah, my main topic wasn't the manager.
Oh, I thought it was William White. Shit.
No, William White does not deserve to be a full topic.
That was a little. Next time, put William White in the back.
It's connected to William White put himself in the back. It's connected to William White. It was about, and I wish Aaron were here, because I remember we spoke on this last episode, which was it last episode? It was one of the episodes about people wasting time in the DMs and the whole policy of business inquiries being probably the best policy. I mean, if you're going to reach out to someone, make it a business inquiry, because you're far more likely to get a response. If you don't have a business inquiry, what are you really asking for? You're likely just asking for attention, and it becomes a selfish thing. So here's something that I shouldn't have to explain in 2022, but I have to, unfortunately. It is what a business inquiry actually is. And business, let's define business is engaging in commerce. So buying and selling. So when a person says, business inquiries only, if their email address is business@dameritter.com or, whatever, usually people say for business, email me here, business, contact me here. They mean, in a nutshell, only reach out when it's about money. Why? Because people are out here working. So people like us, people in the music business, we have amazing jobs. They're a lot of fun. They're creative. They're chaotic in a good way usually, but they're still jobs at the end of the day. We still have to pay bills. We're still supporting our families. We still have mortgages and everything that regular people have, because we are regular people. And you don't go to a grocery store to pick the cashier's brain. You know what I mean? You don't go to the hospital to make small talk about the MBA to the nurses. Maybe you do, but you're going to get kicked out. And that's because those people are there to engage in commerce, aka do their jobs. And we're the same way. So people should be able to respect that, but it appears that people often view the music business as an exception to every rule. No, I'm not going to go to the surgery center and talk to the doctor in charge and say, hey, can I pick your brain? You don't do that. But you do that to a manager of a top artist through the DMs. What's the difference here? So I just want to break it down and make it clear. I often get people who reach out and say, hey, I want to do business, or hey, I have a business inquiry, and they actually don't. So I made a list of things that aren't business inquiries, but are often presented as business inquiries, and no surprise here. The first one is the let me pick your brain line. All that means is I want to ask you a bunch of questions that will help me make money, but I don't want to pay you for your time or experience. I think that's probably the one that Aaron hates the most. And you must get that all the time, right? Let me pick your brain, Dame. And it's like, people will reach out, hey, let me buy you a beer and pick your brain. Well, I don't drink, which basically means I'm not going to get shit out of this. So no, I'm not. The hours of my time, if you have a question, I don't want to discourage people from reaching out if they have questions like, what do you use to edit your videos? That's an easy question. I'll just say, yeah, Vegas, but yeah, I use Canva too. Canva's great. Use the free version. Great. I can share those resources. But people will contact me and say, hey, man, you got a minute? I just want you to review this contract for me. I don't do that. You know how much lawyers charge? You know how I didn't pass the bar. What are you doing? You just want it for free. And that's kind of messed up of you. Mm. Number 2, obviously, less network. This one is terrible because it's vague. Any kind of vague inquiry means you're wasting the person's time off top. Because if the person has to waste time asking you what you actually mean, you've already disrespected their time. And that's just not a good foundation for any kind of relationship building. Number 3, let's collab. This one is controversial. I'm not going to say like for me in the producer world, I'm not going to say don't reach out to producers for beat collabs, but read the room first. If you don't sell beats at all and you want to collaborate with a top seller, then what you're saying is you probably just want to use that person for sales. Just be honest, and that's fine. If you want to use them for sales, if you want to collab with a producer who's selling beats because you're not, and you want a part of their audience and their customer base, be prepared to give them something, because otherwise they don't get anything out of it. They're giving you access to their audience. They're spending their time on the beat. The only person benefiting is you. Now, most top selling producers don't charge for collabs because they just don't do collabs with people that they don't know, but some do. And personally, I would pay for a collab with a producer who's selling way more beats than me. To me, that makes sense because it's an investment. You're probably going to get some type of return, or ultimately, you just want to work with that person because you're a fan of theirs. So if the fee is reasonable, sometimes it's not. I mean, I'm not saying pay $1,000 to collaborate with someone on a beat unless it's, I don't know, TNT or someone that's just getting placements left and right. But if it's a reasonable fee, consider it. Don't be offended by it because, again, this is business. It's commerce. You got to bring something to the table in order to get something back. Because if you're asking for a collaboration, in my opinion, should be 50-50. Offer something. If you're a rapper who wants free beats, great, but be getting enough royalty streams so that the producers actually make a few hundred off the master royalty splits, and just do a 50-50 split. If you're a producer asking for a collab with another producer, at least be selling around the same amount of beats as them, or at very least be able to offer some kind of amazing musicality. Or in the example I gave, just pay them for their time. Holy shit. What's wrong, baby? Okay, you're just standing there.
Payne's cat is upset.
Yeah, she wants a free beat collab. So number 4, let's support each other. Get that one all the time. Again, it's an empty statement that wastes time, but it's generally being used by a person that's not bringing anything to the table. And in that regard, it's disingenuous and selfish, and people can see through that. Number 5, do you have any opportunities for me? So this is tricky because people will reach out to me and say stuff like, hey, get me a placement and I'll cut you in, or shop my demo to a label and I'll give you a percentage, or I'll give you a finder's fee. A, I don't know you. B, I don't work for you. C, I'm busy trying to get opportunities for myself and from the people who actually supported me for years and years and who I trust. So keep that into perspective. If someone doesn't know you, you may think you're giving them an opportunity by saying, hey, do this for me and I'll give you this in return. But that's really not how it works. That's employment. You know, if I tell you to do something and once you do it, then you'll get paid, but I'm the one who benefits the most from it, that's not a business inquiry. That's somebody working for me. A boss always makes more money than the employees. So when you reach out to me with that kind of thing, understand you're not my boss. And that comes off very poorly. But this happens all the time.
Yeah, pretty much all of your examples, all 5 of those things are indications that the person doesn't really have shit going on and they're trying to create something to happen with you. But you're typically reaching out to people that have a lot of stuff going on already. So what is going to interest somebody like me or you that have a lot of stuff going on to okay, I'm not trying to create something. I have enough already. You have to bring something to the table that is going to maybe make me want to shorten some of my, or take time for something else. Maybe I'm trying to hoop tomorrow morning. I'm trying to do other things besides work. I only have so much free time. So you're telling me that what you're bringing me has to be more exciting than me playing basketball in the morning, which is probably not going to happen. Or it's got to be something more important than another project that I already have on my plate. So, you can't come to us and be like, hey, let's create something. You already have to have an idea. You have to come to the table with some credibility. I'm sure I've reached out to a number of people this week. BeatStars wants to do a meetup in Toronto. We're considering doing a meetup in Toronto because I'm going to be speaking at Canada Music Week next month. So we're looking for venues to host the meetup, right? So when I'm reaching out to people, hopefully I'm establishing credibility by saying, hey, I'm the new COO at BeatStars. We want to host a meetup at your venue. And the people that we're reaching out to, they're organizations that cater to underprivileged youth that are interested in the arts, right? So hopefully we're bringing an event to their venue that can help educate them. They can bring them together. They can be part of the event. It's free. So there's value. Hopefully they see on both sides to something like that. I've come to the table, established my credibility. Also, I'm presenting an opportunity that might be appealing to the community that they serve. So there's a win-win, at least in my perspective. They might look at it and be like, well, hey, we still need 10,000 from you to rent this venue. Okay, sometimes you don't meet eye to eye on value, right? What you bring you might think that it's an even exchange. They don't see it that way. That's fair. It's just a difference of opinion. But you have to come to the table with something. Busy people aren't just going to want to network. I don't want to network with anybody, unless it's something that is in line with what I'm already working on, or is something better that I have to take time from something else to apply to this. So, I feel like we talk about this quite frequently, but you guys are still blowing up Payne's inbox. So stop it.
Not just my Erin's too. I imagine Erin probably gets it worse because she specifically is known for working with artists and developing artists and this and that. And I'm sure you still get people asking. I've seen it actually. People who are like, "Hey, man, I'll manage me. Trust me. I know you don't manage artists, but I got something special."
Yeah, no, you don't have something. I am not interested in managing artists. Like, you have to come to the table with something very compelling to be like, okay, this makes you. And I think you already have. At this point, you have to be making money already. Like, I'm not.
You would manage an artist then. So if someone came along, if like someone at Snow the Products level came along and was like, "All right, Dame, what do I have to do to get you?"
It's not even about. It's. I mean, there is a level to it, but it's also like, I already know what it's like working with some artists. How stressful is this going to be, right? Like, I'm music, like from a music standpoint, like I'm a huge fan of Blast. Like, if Blast came to me and needed a new manager, I would definitely have that conversation because I love his music. Same with like an Ace Hood or somebody that I really respect that I know has a ton of stuff going on. I'm no longer interested in building anything from the ground up. But yeah, and I think you should do your research before you reach out to people. I'm pretty vocal on Twitter. You can kind of get a sense of the things I'm working on, how I feel about things, and hopefully use that to, figure out how to position yourself when you reach out. But yeah, I'm not interested in managing any more artists.
Okay. Well, on that note, my last bit of non-business inquiries was give me feedback on my music, but that kind of goes without saying.
That wasn't 5. Oh, my bad. I cut you out. I thought
we did 6. It was a list of top 6. So
top 6. Yeah. My bad.
I just we've expressed our opinion often enough on the whole give me feedback thing. We don't think it's beneficial. In the vast majority of cases, people don't even want feedback. They don't want real feedback. They want just someone to listen to their music and love it and fall in love with it and become a fan. And that's just not realistic. That's not how that works. So it's not a business inquiry regardless, unless you're trying to pay someone for feedback, and then do that with intention. Don't just go around paying anyone for feedback, and at least have some very specific questions and know that you're speaking to an expert that can help with those specific questions if you do end up paying for feedback. Same with paying for collabs, like know who you're paying, because it's your money, and you got to make the right decisions with your money. Make sure those people aren't scamming too, ask around first. So yeah, let's end it there.
But just last thing, because I'm starting to dip my toe in the television and film world, and we recently wrote a pilot for a new TV show, and we're trying to figure out like where to send it to, how to get feedback on it. And it's just very reminiscent of like, trying to get feedback on an album or an EP, but it's a script. So it's like we're asking people to spend even more time, like, to read 30 pages. It takes a lot longer than listening to a song. So I think that most people that read scripts are looking for a reason to say no very quickly. So I'm learning like how scripts are written because they're looking for errors so they can say, oh, this is an amateur writer. I don't care about the story, right? I can already tell this is an amateur writer because of the way you wrote, the way you formatted the pilot. So, because I'm sure people that read scripts, they don't want to read a lot of scripts. So they're looking to say no. And hopefully they can get that reason on the first page so they can just set it to the side. But I realize
we have it easy. We don't have to read scripts or watch pilots or, oh my God, think if we worked for a publisher and had to read manuscripts.
Yeah. I mean, it's a totally different it's a totally different ball game, and we really got to be sharp when we're presenting, our material to even get people to read past the first couple pages. So it's definitely something that I'm mindful, but it's it's very similar to the music game with people trying to get other people to listen to their music. The only difference is like, yeah, we can produce a show on our own, but it's a lot harder to produce a show on your own than to create an album on your own. Right. Like if you wanted to produce a whole sitcom, you're going to need a pretty big budget, or it's going to look pretty low quality. It's hard to replicate what you see on TV on a minimal budget, but you can replicate what you hear on the radio if you have the right talent, with, the right engineers, producers, you record yourself the right way. That is a lot closer to getting what you hear on the radio than what we can create visually to what you see on TV. So we need them. We need a home. We need a production company or a network to help us get to that next level. But anyway, we can wrap it up.
Absolutely. So keep that in perspective when you start thinking that the music business is so hard. Once again, appreciate you tuning in to the MEC podcast. We'll be back same time, same place next Monday. And we're still live. Well, I'm still live. Actually, my show is changing quite a bit and the time has changed. It's now Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time rather than Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's a longer show. It's more interactive and it involves beat making and collaborating with the producer community. So stay tuned for that. And same number. Tell them the number, Dame, because I'm still going to be emailing you every time I go live, so you can participate and collab with us.
Dope. All you got to do is text MEC to 844-206-7800. Like Payne mentioned, we have some changes coming soon, but if we have your number, we'll text you. We'll keep you posted on everything that's happening. You're still going to get a lot of value from the MEC, so we're staying tapped in, and hopefully you guys do too.
Appreciate you tuning in. Peace.
Peace.